are now going to create a eternity ring, and we're going to set this with a channel style of setting. This is going to be a full eternity ring all the way around. So let's start with a finger size. We're going to use the previous finger size of about an L, and that had a diameter of 16.1 millimeters. So let me start with a circle. I'm just going to type circle, and in our front viewport I am going to type 0 for the world origin and enter, and then make sure diameter is enabled here. And you can see the previously used diameter was 16.1, so I can just go ahead and press enter, and now we have our finger size. Of course, we can always double check that with the box edit. 16.1 millimeters, 16.1 millimeters, perfect. And the next thing we want to do is bring in a diamond. So if we go to the assets folder, just grab the round gem 1 millimeter and drag and drop that in. I want to use the third option here, the import file, press OK. And there we have it. Now this is a 1 millimeter diamond. For the sake of this example, I'm going to make this I'll make this a 2 millimeter diamond. So I can hold shift and hit one of these boxes here, and this is going to bring up a dialog box, and I can just scale that by 2 and press enter. So that is that's the beauty of having this as 1 millimeter. I can scale this up by putting in whatever millimeter dimension I want, and it's going to scale up to that. So if I want 1.5, hold shift and click, I can type 1.5, and you can see over the side here that's scaling up to 1.5 millimeters. I can only do it from when it is 1 millimeter, otherwise it's not going to scale correctly. So scaling that up to 2 millimeters, we can see that here in the box edit, and I'm going to bring this up into place. Now generally I want to make sure there's a bit of a gap between the finger rail and the culé of the gem. We obviously don't want the gem to be set so low that the culé protrudes, because when you go and put this on a ring stick, a mandrel, it's going to break off the point of the diamond. So I'm going to offset this curve, just type offset, and I'm just going to offset that, we'll say 0.4 millimeters. And that's just going to be a rough guideline for me to make sure that I've got enough clearance there when this is finished. Now the overall depth I want this to be is 1.8 millimeters. I still need to add 0.15 millimeters to allow for that cleanup during the casting, cleaning and polishing process. So let's offset this 1.95 and click there. So you can see that our gem has got plenty of space to be set there. So I can actually raise it up a little bit higher than the 0.4 millimeters. So this is roughly where it's going to be, set. This is going to be the top of the ring, and this is our internal finger size. So I'll delete that guideline there. And the next thing I want to do is have a think about how many diamonds I want to go around this. And I'm going to array around a center point, and the center point is going to be our world origin. So let's select that gem, and I'm going to use the command array polar and press enter. You can also find that in transform, and it's this button here. We can see polar array, lots of things going around a center point. So that's what we want. It's the polar array, or the command is array. You can see it up here, array polar, if you want to type that out. So center of the polar array, and make sure we're in our front viewport, is going to be the world origin. So I'll press 0 and enter. Now it's going to ask us for a number of items. I know it's going to be more than 3. We'll have a guess and we'll see what 20 looks like. I'll put in 20 and press enter, and I'll press enter again. And we've got a bit of a preview here, and you can see we've got quite big gaps here. So I know that we need more than 20. Now the command is still running, so if I come up to where it says items equals 20, I'll hit that and try 30. Now if I zoom in really close, you can see that these gems aren't quite touching. The problem with this is if I press enter, is if these get set a little bit lower, now history is enabled, so all of the 29 other gems have also followed. And you can see that our girdles are overlapping. And this is bad news because it can lead to sort of one gem either sort of sitting higher than the other. It can also lead to the girdles on the gems breaking or chipping. So we want to make sure that we've got more space than this. It doesn't need to be much more, but it definitely needs to be more. So I'll Control Z to undo that, and we'll try this again. Array polar, center of the polar array, and always make sure we're in the front viewport when we're doing this, because this is the point that we want to array around. If you were to do this in, say, the top viewport, and we chose the center of the polar array being 0 and enter, and 30 items, the fill angle is 360 degrees, press enter, and enter again. You can see we're actually just arraying one gem 30 times around that same point. So that's why it's important to do this in the front viewport. So array polar, center of polar array is 0. Number of items, we want a little bit less than 30. We'll try 29 and press enter. Make sure we've got 360, which is a full circle of gems. Right click, and now you can see that we do have a little bit of space there, so that's probably perfect. Right click again to finalize that command. Now I can just quickly draw out a little line from here to here, and you can see that my little dialog box there is saying we've got 0.075 millimeters. Still not a great amount. You could drop down to maybe 28 gems, I guess. Let me try this again, sorry. Array polar. World origin is 0, 28. So we've got 28 gems now, and we've got 0.15 millimeters between each gem. This is probably a little bit safer. It's not going to be noticeable when this is life size, that there is a slight gap, but it is going to protect those gems. So I'd be happy with 29 or 28 gems here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is create a profile. And it's going to be a sort of a U-shaped profile, and that's going to allow these gems to sit in that gap. So I'm going to grab the parent gem. I'm going to select all the other gems. Well, actually, what I can do is I can come across the layers here, and I can just, we can see that the gems are on layer 01. I can just hide these by using that light bulb. So they're still there, they're just turned off. Okay, so I'm going to select our inside ring rail, and I want to grab a line. So if I go to my curve tools, the plain old line is a little bit hard to find here, but I'm just going to type line and press enter. And we've got the option of both sides. And this is a little bit different. The line command is a little bit different to the polyline over here, in that a polyline will allow you to keep on clicking and drawing out a line. The line command will only allow you to draw one segment, one single line. So I'll try that again, line. And if I just sort of click, then you can see that command is now terminated. It's only allowing me to draw one segment. Control Z, but the line command is actually quite powerful because it does have all of these different options up here. And the first one here, this both sides option, will allow you to draw a line from a center point, and it's drawing out on either side of that center point. So let me press escape and I'll rerun that command, line. I want both sides, and I'm going to bring my cursor down so it snaps to the inside finger rail. You can see it's over here. Bring that down until it snaps. And now I can start bringing this out. Now, if my gems are 2 millimeters, I want a 0.5 millimeter wall on either side of that gem. So whatever my gem diameter is, I want to add 1 millimeter to that. And that's going to be a sort of a good rule of thumb for channel setting. And now on top of that, I want to add 0.15 millimeters to allow for the cleanup and shrinkage. So I want overall 2 millimeters plus 1 millimeter plus 0.15 millimeters, which is 3.15 millimeters. Now if I just type 3.15 and press enter, hold down shift to constrain this to a left-right orientation. And if I have a look at my box edit, you can see that we're actually double that because it's measuring from that center point out. So 3.15 from the center to out is actually doubling this to 6.3 millimeters. Control Z, I'll rerun that command both sides. I'm going to come and snap to the same point. So I want 3.15 millimeters. And if I put the divide symbol, divide by 2, then Rhino is going to figure out that I want half of 3.15 millimeters. So that's drawn out from the center, half of the dimension that we want. I'll press enter, hold shift and click. And now if I select this, we can see that we are 3.15 millimeters. So Rhino can actually do the maths in the command line when you're doing things like this, not just with measurements, but with angles and things like that as well. So if you're drawing out from the center, it makes a lot of sense to put in the overall length that you want, divide by 2, because you're drawing out from that center point. Okay, so let's bring this up. I want to make a duplicate, and I want to bring this up to our outside finger rail. If I hold down Alt and tap the green arrow, then I can type in 1.95, which is the depth of our shank. And you can see that here in the perspective. And now I'm just going to do our line command and just join this up. Do that again, join up that. Select all of those, and actually I won't select all of those. I'll just press escape. So let's bring our gems back. That's them there. So now I want a little bit of an overlap of these gems here. So I'll delete that top rail just for now. I'll go for another line. And I'm going to snap from this outside edge. I'm going to bring this across to, I think about 0.7 looks about right. So 0.7, press enter, hold down shift to constrain, and right click to finish that command. And I'm going to mirror this across the other side. So the command is mirror, and I want to mirror this across this green axis here. So this will be a Y axis mirror. So I can type Y and enter, and you can see that's come across the other side here. And we are now left with this gap here. And again, I'm going to do a line, just type line from here to here. And now I'm going to bring this down probably about 1 millimeter, I think. Again, you don't have to be quite exact, but around about the 1 millimeter, something like that. And again, line, I'm going to join from here to here and here to here. So everything's been snapping into place nicely. I've been careful to draw from a center point, so everything should be nice and symmetric. Let me turn those gems off, grab all of our curves, and you can see in the properties we've got 8 open curves, and I'm going to join those together. So that's this 2 jigsaw puzzles, join. We have some history warning, that's fine. And we now have our profile. I'll turn our gems back on. So when we were making pendants, we were looking at the profiles. When we were looking at a previous ring, we were sweeping a profile. And we can do the same thing here. I'm going to select the inside rail and use a sweep 1 command. And now I need that profile shape, which is going to be this one here. Press enter and enter, and then everything looks okay, so I will press OK. And that's what we've got, our sort of channel set wedding band.